Now, I'm actually still getting some contact with some lunatics today, and they're all still trying to act as if I'm the person who's done something wrong here. And I have to be honest with you, the only thing that I did wrong here was not turning this thing in sooner. As a matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned, I've done everything right. I've done absolutely everything in this situation right. I mean, with the exception of not acting sooner, on this piracy. I mean, the guy comes around and he says, it's like, oh, well, you didn't follow my rules. It's like, hey, buddy, guess what? Bend over backwards and fuck your rules twice in the face. And then fuck yourself in the face with your bullshit little rules. Hey, guess what? You don't get to come to me and tell me that I have to obey your rules. You don't get to come to me and tell me that I have to obey your rules. If you're breaking the fucking law and actually stealing from the team that you are pretending to be a fan of. You don't get to do that. Suck a dick. Suck a nice, big, fat, juicy dick. Okay? Bend over backwards twice. Wrap yourself around thrice. You know what? Just for you, I'm gonna add a lap. Okay? Bend over backwards thrice. Fuck yourself in the face, you idiot. Because quite frankly, I mean, this is not even a question. Like going out, making your own content, going around sharing it in good faith with people, that is the definition of following the rules. Going out and stealing the NHL's content and Sportsnet's content and putting that out there for people to view and using that as something to build your following off of. That is the definition of not following the rules. So you came to me and you pretended that this whole thing was about me not following the rules. When you yourself are trying to be lawless. Like, you are a very, very stupid person, Mini Jerkoff. You are a very, 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 very stupid person. And in fact, were I to go to the trouble of actually using the word very enough times to explain exactly how stupid you are, I would set a new world record for the use of the word stupid. I mean, exactly how imbecilic are you? As it turns out, you are exactly this imbecilic. Because really all that you ever had to do, to not make yourself, a very important bit of business on my agenda, was to just relax about the stupid about the stupid podcast, man. Hey, guess what? You don't like the podcast? You don't think it's very good? Oh, okay, that's fine. But I mean, it doesn't mean that it makes it right for you to come around and try to stomp it out entirely. That doesn't make that right. That doesn't give you that right. Having 38,000 members on your Facebook page, which quite frankly you probably wouldn't have that many for the fact that you seem to take anyone. You seem to take absolutely anyone, and of course, it's a piracy ring. Having 38,000 followers doesn't really make it okay for you to walk around trying to punch down on people. And I don't really think that you have liked the experience of trying to punch down on me so far, have you, Mini Jerkoff? Because every other single punch that I have thrown out at you is a knockout blow. You keep sending your little Noodle arm brigade of internet pussies after me, and they all keep getting knocked out. So quite frankly, not only have you made yourself look extremely petty, you've made yourself look extremely weak. And quite frankly, this is just the beginning. I'm actually the least of your problems. I can't really talk about all of the details about this right now. Confidentiality is an issue. But hey, Mini Jerkoff, you seem to have liked going around trying to punch down on people, and now somebody's going to come and punch down on you. And they're going to squash you like a goddamn bug. Your little Edmonton Oilers scam group. I got a feeling that in the near future, I think that the best outcome for you is going to be that your little Edmonton Oilers scam group is probably going to end up as being property of the Edmonton Oilers Hockey Club, and you are not going to have anything to do with it. Not only are you going to have nothing to do with it, but there's nothing that you can do about it. I mean, Jesus, Mike, what is the worst thing that can happen? Are you going to send some of these little Noodle arm internet pussies after me? Not scared, Mike. I've gotten a good look at some of these guys. I have gotten a good look at the bravest of them. The ones who didn't come and do it anonymously. The ones who were actually stupid enough to come after me with like their actual Facebook profiles. Hey, I've gotten a look at these guys. They can talk as much as they want. There's no threat behind their words. And if they want to come looking for something, hey, I'm not really worried about either, man. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it. Go find the biggest, toughest, strongest amongst these little creeps. You tell them to come find me. I will make it clap. And here's the thing about it, is that, you came to me and you were sitting there screaming at me about how you thought that what was obviously a pretty hyperbolic, theoretical threat, not even like a real threat, not something that anybody was obviously planning to do. Like you were acting like that, like that kind of thing against the people harassing Emily Cave, was the worst thing that anybody could do. And then what was the very next thing that you started to do was you started to direct the exact same kind of harassment that Emily Cave was getting against me. I'm going to be flat out honest with you. I was of the opinion that probably there was nobody involved in that who would have called themselves an Edmonton Oilers fan. After dealing with your bunch of toxic little dipshits, I'm not really convinced about that anymore. And as a matter of fact, I am pretty sure that there's probably no small number of them that probably congregated on your little Facebook group. And you probably allowed it because, quite frankly, it's a toxic cesspool. The very next thing that happened was I was taken in by a number of other different little Edmonton Oilers Facebook groups. Some of them pretty big. Some of them pretty big. Some of them not really big, but all of them built honest. All of them actually built honest as opposed to stealing from the team that you purport to be a fan of. And the thing that I've noticed right away is that on these other groups, you can post something without having some dipshit roll around and call you an idiot. You can post this kind of stuff. Nobody runs around screaming, hey, man's got to get all this stuff out of here, blah, 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 because I don't like it. Nobody does that on any of these other groups, just yours. Why is that, mini jerk-off? I think, honestly, this is exactly why. It's because on other Facebook groups, they would probably moderate those guys out. They'd probably say to them, it's like, okay, you know what? If you're going to behave like this here, you got to go. But as it turns out, on your little Edmonton Oilers scam group, the thing that actually is told that you have to go are people who are legally creating their own content, which they own, and they have the right to share it with whoever they want. That's the stuff that you tell they have to go. But all the stupid little pricks that want to run around swearing at everybody, trying to belittle people, but that's what you say can stay on your site. So you sit there and you come at me and you act like I'm some kind of troll. Jesus Christ, mini jerk off. Take one little look at your Edmonton Oilers scam group. Look at the way that people talk to each other there. It's ridiculous. But as I said before, I don't think it's going to be your problem for very much longer. Now, that will definitely not be your biggest problem. You're going to have much, much bigger problems than that. Jesus, you're going to have much, much bigger problems than me. But as you experience these things, there is something that I want you to look back on this experience and remember. Is that as this stuff begins to happen to you, it's all your own doing. You did it to yourself. And really, the only reason why it was happening at all, the only reason why it's going to happen to you at all, is because you thought to yourself, yeah, that it might be fun to try to bully a podcaster. That was not a smart calculation on your part. When all of this is done, you know, you and all of your little friends, I think that you're going to think to yourself that it might have been easier to just let the podcast go. You know, to just let it go, let it grow, you know, let a person get better at it. Because, you know, that is one thing that I do hear a lot from your army of little, you know, little jack shit, little nothing trolls. They keep coming to me saying, it's like, oh, the podcast sucks, ha 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 ha. It's like, okay, well, 2 points. First off, it's better than yours. And second, by the way, I understand completely right off the bat, yeah, that right now this is not the greatest podcast in the world. Yeah, this is not the most polished, professional podcast that has ever existed, but hey, you know what? It is a lot better than yours. And it's not nearly as good right now as it's going to be. And as it just so happens, it turns out that it really doesn't take much of a podcast, you know, to bring down the biggest Edmonton Oilers fan page on Facebook, when it turns out that that Facebook page is actually a piracy ring.